Hi everyone, my name is Jo Tantum. I'm a baby sleep expert and I'm hoping that I'm going to help you get your babies to sleep a little bit better and give you some support in this really tough time, because I know that it's really stressful already. You're anxious and worried about what's happening. You've got to stay in, and if you've got a little baby that is upset and not sleeping very well, it means you're not sleeping well. And I think when you haven't had enough sleep, when you're sleep deprived, you actually feel even worse. So I'm hoping that I can support you, help you through this really tough time. And when we come out the other side, you will have a baby that's sleeping well, and you will be feeling a little bit better as well. So I'm going to talk to you about your baby in the first few months. My background is I was a maternity nurse for over 10 years. I've been working with little people and their parents for around 30 years, and then I started sleep training after my maternity nursing, and I was in homes with parents helping overnight as well, helping parents get their babies to sleep without distress, teaching them lots of different techniques and putting tools in their bag so that also when babies came through teething or when they were ill, they could actually help things get back on track again. I think sleep is so important. It's important for us as parents to be the best parents they can be, and also for little ones, because they get really grumpy and grizzly and clingy and they don't understand why they feel like this. And so I think sleep is so important for everybody. So hopefully by the end of this awful lockdown, we can get things moving and we can get our babies sleeping better. So I'm going to first talk about babies sort of the 0 to 4 month sleep range. So when you have your newborn baby, they're going to sleep quite a lot. They're going to sleep everywhere and anywhere, and you're going to think, amazing, I've got this fabulous sleeper. But unfortunately what happens is your baby starts waking up and you then have to start helping them get off to sleep. Now what can happen is, of course, you want cuddles. Oh, they're so delicious, aren't they, newborn babies? But what happens is if you keep cuddling them every time you go to sleep, they go to sleep, you're going to teach them that's how they go to sleep. And in the early days, it's not much of a problem, to be honest. But as they get older and they get heavier, then that's going to be when you're going to think, oh, I really wish I hadn't cuddled him to sleep every nap time. So still cuddle them, give them lots of cuddles, let them sleep on you occasionally, even once a day, because it's so lovely. But then try and get them to learn how to fall asleep on their own. And what happens when a baby falls asleep on their own is that they start learning to love sleep. They are not anxious about it and they start self-settling. Self-settling isn't about letting your baby cry at all. All it is helping your baby learn that they can love cuddly sleep. They can just go into their Moses basket or their cot and they can snuggle down and go to sleep. And what better gift can you give a baby than doing that? And also, of course, it makes us better parents because we're not up every hour. If you're helping your baby to go to sleep all the time, that's what's going to happen. So when your baby's a newborn, you don't really need to worry about everything. But what you will find is that they actually will only stay awake for about an hour at a time, sometimes even 45 minutes before they need to go back to sleep. And that's really only enough time to have a change of nappy, a feed, and then a little bit of a cuddle and a little bit of a play, and then it's time to go back to sleep. So don't be too anxious and don't be thinking that your baby is sleeping too much. That's totally normal. That's what babies do. When your baby gets to around 3 months old, they're going to start waking up a little bit more, but they can still only really stay awake, for about 90 minutes. So they need a sleep after about 90 minutes of wake time. Then when they get to 6 months old, they can wake and be awake a little bit longer. So when you have a newborn baby, one of the things that is really important is swaddling them. So you imagine your baby is in the womb, they're all snuggled up and all cozy, and all of a sudden they're born into this big wide world and there's no sides and there's no barriers, and that's why they do the startle reflex. The Moro reflex is the reflex when they tip their head back and their arms, and it makes them feel a little bit anxious, and it makes you feel anxious because you think, oh my goodness, there's something wrong with my baby. It's a totally natural reaction, but it's because baby needs to be swaddled. And what happens is they drifting off into sleep, and they're dropping into sleep. You know, sometimes that feeling of falling into sleep when you're falling asleep, and that's because then you wake up with a jolt, and that's what babies do. So they're falling into sleep, and then what happens is they can feel that jolt, and that wakes them straight up. So having a swaddle, a light, breathable, stretchy material that will help them fall asleep and make them feel nice and secure. Swaddling has been around for centuries, so as long as you're making sure that your baby isn't overheated and hasn't got too many layers on underneath. The other thing that you'll find is when your baby was inside you're in utero, there were lots of noises your baby heard. So it was never a silent world. So there was lots of noises like gurgling of your digestive system, the muffled noises of you and your family talking, and maybe the TV and the radio, and maybe you singing, and also your heartbeat that your baby heard, and also the amniotic fluid swishing around. So of course, when your baby is born, they need noise. We're not talking obviously about having the radio on full blast and having the TV on, but the reassuring noises like the amniotic fluid, the whooshing sounds, and the heartbeat. So there's lots of things you can get out there, lots of sound machines. You and the Sheep is great. My Hummy is great. It's things like that that will help your baby sleep better and make them feel comfortable. And it's a very unfamiliar world. You know, they're born into this sort of noisy world, and the familiar noises will really help settle them to go off to sleep and help them sleep better and be more calm and comfortable. The other thing that you'll find with your baby is that when you've got them downstairs with you, they will start fighting sleep when they're a little bit older. So when they're about sort of between 4 and 8 weeks old, they'll start waking up more. They'll start understanding that there's light and there's things going on around them. Boys in particular, I don't know why it's boys, but boys in particular are very nosy. And what they like doing is just looking around and seeing what's going on. They don't want to miss the party. So what happens is they're tired, but they won't go to sleep because they think something's happening and they're going to miss it. So when you have a baby that's very alert and very aware of the world around them, having darkness is going to really help them. So if you're having your baby, you've got your baby having naps downstairs with you, then you can have maybe a room that's darker and quieter, or a corner of a room that's darker and quieter, that you can maybe close the curtains or the blinds so it's a little bit darker. You could also maybe use a snooze shade, a blackout blind, that can really get your baby to understand it's time to go to sleep. And the reason for that is darkness creates a hormone in the body called melatonin, which is called the sleepy hormone. So that's why when we close our curtains and our blinds, and then we switch the lamp off, it's already starting to build up in our body. And that's what we want to build up in our baby's body to help them fall asleep naturally. And you also want to make sure your baby's not overtired to go to sleep. So as long as your baby's swaddled, and later on, obviously, your baby will have a sleeping bag, but swaddled really up until about 4 months old. Having the darkness, so teaching your baby that it's time to go to sleep. And the wave sounds or the womb sounds, when up until 4 months, having womb sounds for baby, and then as they get older, it can change. Having those triggers, they're called sleep triggers, so that helps your baby fall asleep better. And it helps them understand about sleep. So when you've got the melatonin with the darkness, that can help baby fall asleep better. Now, obviously, you want to snuggle your baby, but helping them at least a couple of times a day for nap times, just putting them in a swaddle, putting them in the Moses basket or the crib next to you, putting the blinds closed or the curtains closed, and then letting them, putting the white noise or the womb sounds on, and letting them fall asleep on their own. What they'll do is they'll make lots of noises. Babies make lots of sleep noises. We have lots of kittens. It sounds like a farmyard sometimes. Kittens, meowing, seals, sort of little whimpers and gurgles and moans. And babies all make these noises before they go to sleep. I'm not talking about cries. I'm talking about sleep noises. And what also they'll do is it'll be very quiet, and then all of a sudden they'll go, and you'll think, oh my goodness. And you go to pick them up, and then they go quiet again. So when your baby starts making noises, take a little step back and listen to what the noises are, because once you do that, you're going to start learning how your baby falls to sleep. Now, some babies will have a kind of noise, a rhythmic noise to go to sleep. So it's really important to listen to those sleep noises and help your baby to sleep better by taking a step back and listening. Obviously, if your baby is distressed, you need to go and help your baby get to sleep and give them a cuddle, pick them up, comfort them, and then put them down again. But it's always really important to try as much as possible to take a step back and listen to what they're doing. Because if you jump in every time that there's a little noise, what will happen is they will learn to fall asleep on you or with a sleep prop. Now, a sleep prop is something that the baby needs to go to sleep. So it could be feeding to sleep, it could be falling asleep on you, and rocking to sleep, and being in a pram, or being in the car seat to go to sleep. The baby needs those things to go to sleep. So the most important thing for you is to teach your baby that they just need themselves to go to sleep. You'll always be there. You'll always listen to them. You'll always respond. If they're upset, you will always be there. But they can do it on their own. And it makes a really confident baby if you're teaching them to do that. Obviously, they're going to wake up a lot in the nighttime feeding when they're little. And that's absolutely normal. But what you will find is they're getting older, they will start having a longer block of sleep. So when they're newborn, it's usually about 3 hours that they can go to sleep, sometimes 4. And obviously you want that block of sleep when you're having your sleep, and you want that to be the night time. So always wake baby for nap times. Excuse me. Don't let baby sleep any longer than 2.5 to 3 hours in the day, because you don't want that long block of sleep when they're having nap time. You want it when you're having your sleep time as well, because that will really help you have a better sleep. And when you're having a better sleep, it means that you can respond to your baby better in the daytime. You don't feel so down, because I think you can get quite anxious, and things always make, it's all, you always feel that everything's sort of all on top of you when you haven't had a good night's sleep. And you're not going to have great sleep when your baby's little, but you can start putting things in place to help your baby sleep better at night time. I always say, unless your baby's is premature and you've been told to wake your baby in the night for feeds, just let them sleep as long as possible. In the daytime, wake them for feeds and give them a feed no less than every 3 hours, because if you let them go to sleep for 5 hours and don't feed them, then they're going to wake up in the night time because they're hungry, because they had missed a feed. So try every 3 hours at least in the daytime to feed them, and at night time leave them to sleep, let them sleep as long as possible. Only change the nappy if they've done a poopy nappy. You'll be able to smell it usually. And also really try in the daytime to change the nappy before they have a feed and wake them up properly. I'm hoping this is going to give you a few tips to help you, and it hope will get your baby sleeping properly. Look at your baby's signs for sleeping. So they're going to be rubbing their eyes, yawning, playing with their ear, playing with the label on the back of their clothing. Just look at those sleep triggers, and that's your baby telling you, I'm tired and I want to go to sleep and have a nap. The next thing also is bedtime routine. Try and start a bedtime routine as soon as possible. As soon as you're happy to do that. I think with my little girl, I started when she was about 6 weeks old, when she understood about sleep. And I just did, sometimes I did a bath, sometimes I just did a top and tail. So just washed, sort of wiped her, give her a massage. That was really important. She loved her massage. Put baby into the sleep suit, give them a breast or bottle, swaddle them and have the white noise on, and then they go to bed. So it's a really, really simple routine to get them sleeping, better at night time, their bedtime routine. So I'm hoping that's going to really help you. I'm going to do some more videos of your baby as they get older. I'm also going to be doing some questions that I can answer for you. So start thinking about things that you want to be answered. I can answer absolutely everything about babies. I can also answer about routines as well. And I've also had reflux issues with my little girl, and I've worked with a lot of paediatricians, gastroenterologists, about allergies and reflux things. So I might be able to help you with things like that, but obviously always go and see your GP or your professional paediatrician to help you with those things. I'm here for the long haul. I'm here with Purflo for a year at least to help you and work with a fantastic company that I have actually bought quite a lot of my baby's things from them before I even started working with Purflo. So I'm really excited about working with Purflo because they're all about safe sleep, and I've always been about safe sleep. I've always been about natural and kindness and understanding your baby and working with your baby and helping your baby sleep better without getting upset. So I'm really hoping that I can help you. I can go through on your journey as a parent, because it's the most exciting, amazing journey, tiring journey, but so worth it. So I'm here for you, and start scribbling your answers, your questions down, and I can answer them. We're also going to do something with dads as well, because dads really are, especially in these times, are really having to be a lot more hands-on, and they'll have so many questions, and I'm here to help. So you take care. You can have a look on my website as well, jotantum.com, and you take care and stay safe, everyone. Bye.